This project uses average youth detention data from the AIHW, ABS population data downloaded through the ABS stat site. The data was aggregated up to average yearly values using population rates, so the states and territories could be compared. You notice here on the Tasmanian data, it's one of the few jurisdictions where you often see the Indigenous rate is actually below the non-Indigenous rate. So here for New South Wales, you'll see it's much higher, and that's unfortunately the picture in most of the rest of Australia. Overall, the data shows a worsening position for Indigenous kids over the 2008 to 2015 period, with rates reducing for non-Indigenous kids over that period, but going up for Indigenous kids. The game has levels representing each state and territory, and the levels are ordered by the relative Indigenous overrepresentation of each state and territory. So Tasmania had the best picture in terms of overrepresentation, and the worst jurisdictions were Northern Territory and Western Australia. The project was motivated by recent media on youth detention centres, and while it's important to have detention centres that are human rights compliant, a better approach is to avoid putting kids in detention in the first place. And that's the intention of this game, is to get this information out there in a way that people are going to interact with it, and it's kind of in your face. So the Northern Territory rates here, you'll see, while the Indigenous rate doesn't look that high, remembering there's a lot more Indigenous kids in the territories, about 30% of the population, you can see the non-Indigenous rate on the left-hand side is often around 1, and a lot of days there's actually, or quarters, there's actually no non-Indigenous kids in detention at all. So that's why they score pretty badly in terms of overrepresentation. Now, Western Australia, you can see actually in the background there, there's a, that's actually a graph representing the adult imprisonment rate, which has gone up over the same period. So I've been locking up Indigenous kids and Indigenous adults. Anyway, I hope this information gets out there and can get used. Cheers.